When thinking about the Middle Ages, many people often imagine magnificent castles, brave knights, and endless wars. But the lives of single women at that time are a story rarely mentioned, hidden behind a veil of mysterious and fascinating history. Let's explore how unmarried girls and women lived in medieval Europe, amidst very ordinary opportunities, challenges, and aspirations. In the Middle Ages, society was tightly organized according to a class and religious system, with strict norms for women. Women were expected to marry, have children, and take care of the family. However, not everyone entered into marriage. Many girls, due to family circumstances, economic conditions, or personal choice, lived single for a long time, even for their entire lives. For unmarried girls, life usually begins in the home with their parents. They take on household tasks such as cooking, weaving, caring for younger siblings, and sometimes assisting their parents in production activities like farming, animal husbandry, or small trading. Although not married, they are still an indispensable part of the family's economic activities. Single women in the Middle Ages were not always considered leftover or unfortunate. In some regions and periods, they could even play an active role in the community. In developed cities, single women, often widows or daughters of merchants, could manage property on their own, run shops or workshops. They were legally protected in their ownership of private property, which was quite rare compared to many other places in the world at the time. In rural villages, single women often participate in labor groups, helping each other during harvest seasons or when there are major family events. These groups serve as places for young girls to exchange life experiences, learn skills, and even share their dreams, aspirations, or worries about the future. Besides, the monastic path opens up a completely different horizon. Many girls, for religious reasons, family reasons, or voluntary choice, entered the monastery from a young age. Life in the monastery brought them peace, knowledge, and a certain degree of power. There, they learned to read, write, study ancient scriptures, care for the sick, and participate in charitable activities. Many of them became abbesses, holding great prestige in the community, and even influencing local decisions. However, single life is not always easy. Medieval society still held certain prejudices against unmarried women, especially in rural areas. Some were considered old spinsters and were easily suspected when unusual events occurred, such as crop failures or epidemics. Sometimes they were even accused of being witches, especially during times of social unrest. Nevertheless, history also records inspiring stories of strong, single women who built their lives according to their own will. They could be female merchants, artisans, doctors, or even writers and poets, although most of their works had to be anonymous or signed with male names to avoid scandal. Interestingly, although social pressure pushes women towards marriage, the number of single women in large cities is still not small. As commerce developed, many women followed their parents to the city, working in textile factories, kitchens, or bakeries. Some managed to save wealth, live independently, and even became boarding house owners or landlords. They lived simply but freely, making all major and minor decisions in their lives themselves. Spiritually, many people choose to live single because of religious ideals or a desire to learn. In monasteries, nuns spend most of their time praying, reading, and creating art. Precious manuscripts and intricate illustrations all bear the mark of women's hands. They are also pioneers in education, teaching children and spreading knowledge to future generations. For those who do not come from noble backgrounds or cannot enter monasteries, single life often involves more worries. They have to face economic pressure, public criticism, and the risk of being vulnerable without protection. However, they are also resilient, creative, and continuously strive to affirm their self-worth. During village gatherings, festivals, or market days, they still appear radiant, contributing to the diversity and vitality of the community. It can be said that the life of single women in the Middle Ages was a multifaceted picture, blending tradition and innovation, between strict norms and the desire for freedom. Although limited by the era, they still found joy in simple things: an afternoon weaving under the sunlight, a village festival filled with laughter, or quiet moments beside a book, dreams, and hopes. Looking back, we see that single women in the Middle Ages were not just obscure supporting characters in the flow of history. They were real people with dreams, sorrows, joys, and resilience. They chose to live in their own way, contributing to writing the silent but no less important pages of human history. And when night falls over small villages or bustling cities, somewhere, a single woman sits by the window, listening to the wind singing through the ancient rooftops, dreaming of a brighter tomorrow. In peaceful sleep, they remain themselves, free, strong, and full of hope.